I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name That Umbrella Guy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
All right, what's up, folks? Welcome to another edition of Internet Stupid, starring people getting in trouble with the law yet again. Man, so we've had a few documents drop in the last, I'm going to say 7 days. We had one drop today, but we had a few drop the other day as well. I don't remember why, but I did not get around to those either, so I'll add them into this. Plus, we had Vic Mignogna actually speak on this issue too, and it's kind of interesting. Actually, I may start with Vic Mignogna, what he had to say, considering Vic Mignogna, he wasn't the biggest thing to happen with a Nick Rekieta channel, but he was a big one. He was definitely a stepping stone, and he pulled away and didn't make any real statements about it. Give me a minute there. Until, well, we're talking about yesterday. So he actually made a statement on this, and I thought it was kind of interesting. You know, if you don't know Vic Mignogna, by the way, for some reason, Vic Mignogna, one of the biggest dub voices out there, as far as anime is concerned. He was also the hashtag Kick Vic, I Stand With Vic. All of that kicked off. It was crazy. It was actually an eye-opening experience for a lot of people when it came to false allegations. Now, Nick, like a lot of people, myself too, you know, I covered it for a while, for sure. And Nick covered it for a long time. You know, the unfortunate ending to that case. Oh, man, I didn't want to get into that. But Vic Mignogna actually made a statement. So let's see what he has to say here. 9 minutes of this. Then we'll talk about April getting charged, which that's kind of fascinating, too. I'm gonna give a little conjecture on that when we get to that. But let me turn the subtitles on here.
It up, and I said it to you before we came on. We live in a free society, right? A free society. Okay, I challenge all of you to take me seriously while he's sticking his head in eating ice cream. Okay, maybe you'll take me more seriously if I eat ice cream.
Yeah, have a hat. Good. My head hurts, yo.
You guys, everyone
runs
runs around, I'm free to do this, and it's my right to do this, and I got freedom, I'm free to do this. Well, a free society can never, ever be sustained if people are not personally moral. If an individual doesn't have any foundational sense of right or wrong or morals, or his neighbor, fellow people around him. You know, I mean, a perfect example is like gun laws. If all of us in this studio are law-abiding citizens.
By the way, this is working into the question of Nick Rekieta, if you're wondering why. It all works into that topic.
And we're conscientious of our fellow man, and we're not hateful, we're not vengeful, you know what I mean? We're not self-absorbed. Why would we be afraid if everyone had a weapon to protect themselves? It's the fact that there are people out there that abuse their freedoms and do all kinds of horrific things under the guise of, well, I got my rights and I'm free to do this, I'm free to do that. Well, you may not be free for very long, because I really believe in my heart that a free country cannot continue if there are so many citizens that abuse that freedom.
We didn't talk about this before, but everything you spoke about right there, freedom, guns, I have to get a soundbite, and I know you're going to give a professional answer. Your very good friend has gotten in a lot of trouble, Nick Rekieta. Got arrested with guns, got arrested, and I'm on Nick's side in a lot of this. I think Nick's a good guy. Everybody's been wanting your statement on the Nick thing, and we don't have to elaborate, we don't have to spend the whole show on it, but I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts, Vic? Because what you just said.
You could tell right off the bat, by the way. If you look at Vic, his expressions or lack thereof really give away a lot about the man. You know, he's a very expressionate person. I mean, if you go, I've seen him at, I think, 3 conventions. I'd have to look back. I can't remember, maybe more. I don't even remember anymore. But I've seen him multiple times, a lot of days, seen him interact with hundreds, if not thousands of people, myself included, you know, in interactions. Yeah, gives away a lot when he's doing that. And you can tell he doesn't want to be involved in this conversation. But Alex Stein brought him up. He brought him up when all of this first came up, and he was actually supposed to have an interview with Alex Stein. And then all of the allegations involving kids came out, and he noped out of it. He was like, no, I'm not going to have anything to do with that. So that's kind of why you end up with this. I wanted to explain that. Plus, of course, his involvement again with everything that happened back, I guess that was 2019.
Freedom, guns, this is what he's going through. And I know he's your friend. I know. And this is my thing. A lot of people on the internet are like, you should throw Nick under the bus. But a real friend stays with you when you're going through tough times.
Well, but a real friend doesn't condone bad behavior either.
Okay.
That's actually a very interesting and pretty good statement. You know, friends, they don't condone bad behavior. And, you know, as far as this, Vic has avoided, you know, there would be a response, I think some people would say, well, friends, they don't comment live. You know, why would you? I get that stuff. But, you know, Vic hasn't done that. In fact, he didn't come here for that reason. That just ended up being something that Alex Stein hit him with. And he was like, okay, since I'm here, I'm going to answer this. And I actually thought that was a good answer. Again, you know, you're not condoning bad behavior.
Right? Oh, here's all I want to say about that.
We have to get a soundbite from you, because everybody wants to know.
Well, yeah. When that picture was taken, I had no knowledge of anything that was going on in his private life at his home.
And this is at Anime Matsuri, where
that
you're
was
going.
Actually, honestly, that was like 4 years ago.
That was in 2019. I'm pretty damn sure. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's 2019, because I went to that convention. So I'm pretty sure that is. So everything that's being discussed here, I mean, we all talk about changes in mindset, all of that stuff. That wasn't then. I mean, that's what I watch this all the time. You know, where people, they associate with someone. It's like, oh, why did you associate with? You know, it's like, this is a different time. It's also Vic Mignogna. You've got to understand something. Vic Mignogna was canceled from everything. Everything except Matsuri. It was the only place that stood up to the tide. The media went after him. We're talking about not just entertainment media, but we're talking about mainstream. I mean, this was a monster topic. If people weren't around to see that, it was a monster topic. And Vic Mignogna, he needed allies. And at the time, you know, there was a GoFundMe that had raised around, what was it, 260? I'd have to look at the numbers. It's been a hot minute, you know, so remembering these exactly correct. You'll have to forgive me if I can't remember, like, well, you're talking about that many years. But it was like $260,000. Again, if somebody knows the exact total, they can correct me on that. But, you know, you had people talking about, again, making sure that he had work, making sure that he was represented. And yeah, I mean, he needed allies in that game. I mean, you had people, and you got to remember that the other thing I want to note is Vic Mignogna, the allegations against the man, we're talking about allegations of, there were allegations like this. 6 years ago, when I was walking down a hall, he pulled my hair and said something inappropriate. Really? 6 years ago? 11 years ago? There was this story about, well, he tried to kiss somebody, then it changed. It kept changing. It changed 4 times. People that were around, they were like, that didn't happen. The guy that was involved in the con was like, the con convention, he was like, at the time, he's like, that didn't happen. This man, I firmly believe he was falsely accused, but nobody would hear his fucking side. It was insane to watch. It was right there on the edge of Me Too. So yeah, I mean, when he's looking at that and saying, hey, that was a lifetime ago, it kind of is.
And you're going back to Anime Matsuri in 2 weeks. Yeah, it's the
I'm
biggest.
looking very forward to it. Next to Anime Expo, it's the biggest. It's the second largest anime convention in the country, over 60,000.
That's how you became friends with Nick, right? Because you go to this.
No. In fact, Anime Matsuri invited Nick to come to Matsuri precisely because of his support for me.
Yeah, well.
That's actually 100% correct. that is 100% correct, because Matsuri, there were panels put on exactly about, you know, cancel culture and everything else. They were huge. You know, again, it was a month. Those are still up, by the way. It's fascinating to look back at a window at that time if you haven't seen it. But that's 100% correct. Vic Mignogna, he was, I'm not going to say channel builder, but he was a huge stepping stone to what a channel became. And again, you know, I went there I actually didn't go. I paid. I paid to go because I wanted to see what was there, you know. I didn't ask to be invited from Matsuri, like, for that year. I did get a press pass from him. I asked for a press pass so I could wander around and do whatever the fuck I wanted to and interview people and stuff like that and not get in trouble for it. But I didn't want to pay him for anything. I wanted to be there on my own. That way, if I thought there was something out of form, I could observe it myself. And yeah, I didn't think there was anything. In fact, seeing Vic Mignogna there was much, much different. But yeah, Matsuri was inviting multiple people and they're putting on panels, everything, because of Vic Mignogna.
Because he had built a big audience in his support of me and following the events that were going on.
In a way, you could say that he made his audience off your back.
I mean, I'm not going to go
He's
there.
a talented guy. I'm just saying you helped give him a little bit.
Here's all I'm going to say about it. I had no idea.
It was the first time I had ever seen live streams that went up to 10,000 plus people. I realized, like I said, you know, that's before the case explosion, as it were, you know, before Rittenhouse, like with 100,000 plus people. But for the longest time, I mean, the numbers that you saw there, the amount of money, I mean, everything for as far as Nick Rekieta's channel is concerned, it was insane to see. So yeah, I definitely built a lot of channel off of it.
Yeah, and I was very, very disheartened and saddened to hear about those events. And I'm praying for him. I want the best for him and his wife and his kids. And I have not talked to him or seen him in a very long time.
Well, I've texted with him a little. You haven't texted with him a little bit? He's being very open and texting. Him and I had a nice conversation.
No.
You guys hadn't had any?
No.
Wow.
I think there was that falling out with most people. Maybe I don't even want to call it a falling out. Maybe that's the wrong word. Distancing. You know, because again, whatever you think about what's going on with a criminal case, with that complaint there was a lot more going on. And again, even if people weren't aware of that. You could see, again, the man was in crisis. The man was in a substance-induced crisis. That's what it felt like, And the topics, too. I mean, the topics don't fit people like a Vic Mignogna. When you're talking Baldo and everything else. I could say, I think what he's saying there, there's nothing negative or anything like that. He's just like, hey, I haven't talked to him in a very long time. He hasn't talked to him about this, but he didn't talk to him about stuff before that either. So the distancing occurred well before this.
It makes me kind of sad, Vic, because I know that you're such a nice guy, and I know it probably hurts you seeing somebody you care about going through this. And we want the best for Nick, whether people like Nick or not. Nick's a father. I want him to come out of this stronger, and I think he can. I think
yeah, we can only hope that Nick, like everyone else, learns from mistakes they make as they move forward. They glean some lessons from mistakes, and they incorporate them into making better choices in the future. I mean, I would want that for me. I would want that for you. I certainly want that for Nick and his wife. And I'm just sorry. Do
you know Kayla very well?
I've only interacted with her when they came to these events.
Do you think that she would find it weird? And we're going to drop it after this.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about it.
I know, this is the last question.
Again, you can see Mignogna is very uncomfortable with this. Not just very uncomfortable. That's not his brand. He's not there to really talk about negative. This guy is out here, to talk about his love of Star Trek, his love of anime. He talks about his faith. Talks about other things there. And I'm sure it's not just the talking point, though. The way it goes to it. But, I mean, that does suck. It does suck to see something like this. And, I mean, he's also been, he's been under a level of scrutiny, Vic Mignogna has, that most people cannot freaking imagine.
Show April. Do you think Kayla cares that he has a girlfriend now, though? He's in a throuple.
No, I don't know about any of that.
Wow. This is his new girlfriend.
I don't know about any of that. My interactions with him were very limited, and like I said,
everybody speaks highly of Nick.
I wish the best. I wish healing. Mm-hmm. I pray for healing, and that things will get worked out, and that he and Kayla will come out of this stronger and better than before. And I don't know anything about it. I just know, and I don't know any more than you guys do.
And we'll forget talking about that, but one person we do need to make fun of, a person I actually like, show me on camera. So that was April. We got to make fun of Steel Toe Joe, Aaron Amolte. He was talking negative about you, and that's not okay with me. That's Steel Toe, that guy.
I have no idea who that is.
Well,
That's the best comment at all. I have no idea who that is. And why would he, honestly? Why would he? Now with his negatives, I feel like I missed something in here. Because I thought Aaron's statements were saying that Nick actually badmouthed Vic Mignogna. Maybe Aaron said something else. I don't know. I didn't keep up with every fucking interview that went on. I mean, there were a lot of them. He had that hot minute of fame that he was out there. He was talking about this whole thing. But I thought his statements were basically that, Rekieta said this or Rekieta said that, which, again, if I'm not mistaken, Rekieta denied. I think he denied in that first local stream. I'm not sure, though. Mummy Bird asked, who is Vic Mignogna? Vic Mignogna he's probably the biggest dub voice in anime. He's been in quite a few things. Full Metal Alchemist, for example. Dragon Ball. I mean, quite a few things. God, I'd leave out stuff to go through. But he was canceled big time in 2019. It was, at that time, it was one of the biggest cancellations we had seen in the entertainment sector. A lot of us, we frequent. And what I mean by that is we're not really talking, a lot of us, when we look at Hollywood, we already look at Hollywood as messed up. We know there are cancellations there. And at that level, of course, they're going to have people take aim at them. And we had seen like comic pros get canceled. Heck, at one time during Me Too, in the comic book industry, you'd have 1 to 2 names come out. Like it wouldn't necessarily be an artist, but there would be, 1 to 2 names involved in a company coming out every single day. There were so many you couldn't keep up with them. But the monster names hadn't really been canceled. And then when Vic Mignogna, when his name hit, I mean, the cancellation, it was insane to watch real time. It was a collaborative effort with media, with people that had worked with the man and pretended to be his friends. They would sit at a table one fucking day, and then the next day they were like, he's a monster. They were just buddy until they weren't. And anime, like, if you go back and you watch videos of the way these companies, they market themselves and the way people interacted and stuff, it was very sexualized. They were very handsy. All of them. I'm talking about the women, the men, all of them. But Vic Mignogna became the bad guy because he fit the kind of demographic you were allowed to cancel. And because he liked women. But they accused him of ridiculous stuff. If you go back to it, he was definitely, like I said, in my opinion, he was falsely accused. The companies came after him. They denounced him. It was a shit show of epic proportions. The people that went after him, the main ones, they're the ones with all the dub insanity that's come up in the last couple of years. Where people talking about companies hiring people that are insane socially. They have insane social views. They talked about people like Jamie Marquis. Yeah, she was one of his accusers. Again, there was one guy too. So this, I'll continue this in a second, but there was this one guy that came out and denounced Vic, saying, "Oh, back in this convention, I saw him go up to this girlfriend that I had at the time, and he pulled her back and he hissed in her ear like a snake." It was just a ridiculous thing. But when you dug up messages that this guy had at the time, when you dug up his Twitter account and everything, you found him talking about that. But he was talking about Vic Mignogna, how much he loved him. He was one of the greatest guys ever. He was one of the only people in this industry that he would give his phone number to. So it was all bullshit. It was so much bullshit. And many of these people were creepers too. The dudes that got on that, they were fucking creepers. Like I said, Vic Mignogna, I spent a lot of time looking at that case. A lot of people did. And I 100% believe that he was falsely accused. Unfortunately, he did not get his day in court. That was a fucked up situation.
I think he said that, whatever. I mean, I guess he didn't speak highly of you. And I don't
clearly because of all the time he spent with me.
Exactly right. Right?
I mean,
and I like Aaron. I think Aaron's a good guy.
Obviously, he knows what he's talking about.
But Aaron admits that they were doing all kinds of barbiturates and allegedly doing all kinds of stuff. And I guess I just wanted to give you a chance to just set the record straight because people wanted to hear your side of this.
Well, I think some people want to drag me into things
of course.
That are none of my business.
There you go.
And what happened with what goes on in Nick's private life and in his world and with his wife and family and all of that, I have nothing to do with that. I had no knowledge of any of it, and I had nothing to do with it. So when somebody wants my opinion, I'm like, I have no opinion.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about anything. I like you, like anybody else, I want the best for him, and I hope that God brings he and his wife through this.
Last question. We're not going to talk about any more after this. Netflix is inevitably going to make a documentary about Nick Rekieta, for sure. I have a feeling that it's a very salacious story. I know that looks to be crazy.
Holy shit, by the way. What he just said there, it's quite possible. It's quite possible. It's also some of the places and people that Nick has insulted over the years, they would be very motivated to do a documentary. If you think about it. I mean, you have You have huge networks like Law and Crime that would definitely push the shit out of it. You have many a documentary. I don't know what the fuck you call those people today. I don't even remember. People who make documentaries. Those people, those jackasses, the majority of them, yeah. I think many of them would be very motivated to do that. So I very much think that could be in the realm of possibilities. Plus, you're talking about a name that, again, it picked up a lot of traffic. You got to remember, the only reason the traffic died off was because of political items. You had something that was so much bigger knock it out of trending. But otherwise, still be there. And you still see it blip up from time to time. You know, anytime a new document comes up, you see that blip up there. So I could see Netflix, even if Netflix doesn't pick it up, I could see one of these places, like I covered this place called Tortoise Media. You know, they're propped up by the media so much. They have old head media people that have moved on, you know, and they have politicians attached. Well, they go out and they do docuseries, and they absolutely go after people that they don't like socially and politically. And I think that there's enough bad blood there. Yeah, I could see them do that. By the way, enjoy this channel. Share this, like, subscribe, you know that drill. Consider support, too. I'm told a lot I don't chill enough. I'm like, fuck. It just works if it works. But anyway, let's continue.
Crazy, but he's one of the biggest streamers ever. He gets in trouble, so now his court case is going to get streamed by people. I mean, I'm not saying Netflix can do it, but somebody's going to do a big documentary. You're going to be a part of that. If a major production company came up to you and said, Vic, we want to get your statement, not here on the show, would you participate in something like that?
My statement would be what I just stated.
That's all you would say?
A very short statement.
I know. And Vic has only spoken highly. I just want to say, Vic has only ever spoken highly of Nick. Vic's been very professional. You've never heard you say one negative thing about him.
My interactions with him have always been good. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, they ended quite a while back. And occasionally there might be a quick text, but recently, not at all.
Well, Nick, me and Vic are rooting for you. We want you to get the help that you need or whatever you need. And sure, Vic.
You know what? I'm going to say a prayer. Let's
pray. Let's say a prayer.
I'm going to. You know what?
Show the Vic
I'm going to say a prayer for Nick and his wife and Joe Biden.
Okay, and Joe Biden. Yes, that's good.
Right? Don't mock.
I'm not. I'm praying. How am I mock? How am I?
You don't.
Alex comes off as such a dick sometimes, man. He does. I mean, it'd be funny, but man, Alex, you come up with such a dick sometimes, dude.
How am I mocking? I'm praying.
Am I doing that? Look. Am I doing that?
I pray different. I'm Pentecostal. I'm Pentecostal.
Anybody buying any?
No, we have a snake at my church that if you get bit by the snake,
I've heard about that. Okay,
you go to heaven.
Okay. Well, I'm serious. I'm going to take this seriously.
I'm serious too.
All right. Heavenly Father, I just want to bring our president before you. We don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to agree on policies and positions on things, but we certainly don't wish ill or harm. So I pray that if he is ill, especially if he's seriously ill, I pray that you would heal him. Pray that you would protect him and bring him back to full health. And then I also pray for Nick and Kayla and their family. Whatever is going on with them, you know better than we do. There's no reason for us to put a bunch of words to it because you know everything that's going on. So I just want to pray that you will guide Nick and Kayla, bring them through this difficult time. I'm sure it must be incredibly stressful. And I just pray that you would you'd be close to them and bring them through it. In Jesus' name, amen. See, this is what I'm talking about.
I'm speaking in tongues. This is part of my Pentecostal church. We speak in tongues.
See, I mean, Alex Stein. Some people were like, who is that? That's Alex Stein, by the way. You know, the guy who likes to go to, open forum government meetings. And he says some crazy, funny stuff sometimes. But I mean, yeah, anyway.
Tongues. Why is my culture wrong? Why can't we speak in tongues sometimes?
Did you hear me say wrong?
Okay,
Did I
good.
ever say any culture was wrong? I never said
No.
that.
Shala kalatina malalasa.
When you make that face, though.
Shala dinala. Sala kalala Nick Rekieta. Sala kalala. April
I have a
Mote.
question.
Alalala
I
kalala.
have a question for you.
Yes. Amen.
Do you take anything seriously?
I do.
Now look at me.
Yeah, I do take
Look over there. Look at me.
I do take stuff seriously.
Do you? I
believe in God.
I'm serious. You put me on the spot trying to ask me something.
I didn't put you on the spot. We had
You
to ask
tried.
you a question.
No,
No,
you
I
didn't.
didn't.
You didn't
No,
have
I
to.
didn't.
You did.
So there's more of it. There's an entire interview. If you're so inclined, you can look up the interview on Alex Stein's channel. It's there. But yeah, that's pretty much the interaction with it. I thought he was very fair in it, to be honest. You know, again, it was interesting to watch play out, though, because Vic Mignogna was scheduled to go on Alex Stein when there was just an arrest. You know, he like everybody, didn't know particular allegations about things. You know a few things. You know, there was an alleged drug arrest. I'm going to go with alleged. I do it for everybody else. I might as well do it here. You had all of that, but he hadn't heard everything. Then when the statements about kids came out, he was just like, no, I'm going to nope out of that. I'm out of here. Another document came out today. So this was kind of interesting. I'm curious about this. So we have a state of Minnesota versus, I know every time I bring this up, I say quote unquote nanny. I'm under no illusion. I don't think she's I mean, yeah, there've been plenty of freaking people to talk about, like Camelot. Camelot is like, yeah, no. So I'm under no illusion that I don't think live-in nanny, but I'm just that's what they refer to. So everybody knows who I'm talking about. You know more likely if I say nanny that I'm who I'm talking about than if I said April. So you have state of Minnesota v. April. I'm Holt. The complainant submits this complaint to the court and states there is probable cause to believe the defendant committed the following offenses. Now, the timing of this is really fascinating to me. I'm wondering, when we look at this, you tell me why you think this is happening now. I'm wondering, again, pure conjecture on this, okay? I want to make that very clear. But I'm wondering if, see, they didn't go after April in the beginning. They've waited. Now they're putting her in. Why? Is it because she didn't speak? Or is it because Nick's potentially planning on fighting this thing and she is definitely a weak point? You got to wonder. It does make you wonder, because if I was looking at another case, if this was just some random ass case and we were talking about it, I would very much wonder if they leaned on this person, that maybe they would help them make their case. Because they might be quiet for you, but would they potentially take a charge for you? And I don't get the feeling that Nick is going with the throw myself on the mercy of the court. Again, I don't know that for a fact in any way, shape, or form. I'm not talking about it too. That there are plenty of other people that could probably fill in the gaps on that. But if you saw this move in any other case, what would you think about it? Sometimes they can go back and charge somebody just randomly, but there's usually a reason that the prosecution does that. So, count one, they're saying. Charge, drugs, 5th degree, possession, schedule 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not small amount, marijuana. Now, when you read this, it's not saying marijuana. Just listen to the whole thing before it goes through, which is felony. Minnesota statute, they go through the statutes on it. Maximum sentence, 5 years, 10K fine, or both. Now, we all talk about, too, here's another thing. We all talk about first offenders and, the sentencing they get. That's usually subject to cooperation. Like I said, if you look, I love listening to audiobooks on the mob. I love them, and you'll see not necessarily mob member. Again, I'm not saying like Rekieta's a mob member. I'm just making a comparison here. They'll take people with nothing charges, and they would charge them. So they would come in and testify. Oh well, we're going to potentially charge you we're going to charge you if you can face a lot of time if you don't cooperate, and a lot of times you get cooperation that way. But offense level, felony. Offense date, of course, we all know the date on that. That was the 23rd, 2 days after an infamous live stream. So charge description. On or about May 23rd, the county of, I always butcher the county. I say it 10 different ways. I can never fucking remember it. It's in Minnesota, the place where they live. April Einhold did possess one or more mixtures containing a controlled substance, to wit, possessed more than 0.25 grams of cocaine. Now, they go through again. I'm going to read. Now, again, some of this is rehashed, but you can see where she pops up in this stuff. So, going through with an I on her name or whatever, we'll just hit this stuff fast. I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to stop until I hit her name, I'm not going to say anything on that. So, the complainant, licensed peace officer, employed by the sheriff's office, capacity, complainant believes the following to be true and correct. May 23rd, 9/13, search warrants executed at Nick Rekieta's home and his wife's home. They reside at the residence. Law enforcement approached the residence. Nick, of course, traveling in a vehicle. He was stopped by law enforcement upon knocking at the door. Juvenile female opened the door, wouldn't let them in. Nick would not provide a door code to enter the residence. Law enforcement entered the home utilizing a door ram. Upon entry, law enforcement located Kayla and April. So remember, April is in the home at the time. She's part of that. Again, she gets picked up with it, obviously. I mean, you should know that, but if you don't, I'm just being completionist with this. 4 juveniles also in the home. So Kayla and April, they were located in the master bedroom. That's where everything was found, by the way. Officers note that the home is extremely cluttered, clothes everywhere, dirty dishes, dust, overall dirty home. My living nanny doesn't do a lot of work. What does your living nanny do then? No comment. I'm not commenting on that. See, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but if I hire a living nanny, if I'm gonna call him a living nanny, I'm gonna have clean clothes. I'm not gonna have dirty dishes, dust, and overall dirty. Living nanny. Give me a minute. Yeah. Worst professional excuse ever, Nick. Come on, man. Come on, dude. Just be like, yo. We have what do they call it? A throuple. We have a fucking throuple, dude. Do whatever. I don't give a fuck about that. But just do it, man. Just be like, yeah. A living nanny. A living nanny that doesn't work. Oh, it'd be shit. I'm sorry, that just struck me as funny for a second there. This whole situation would be like, I would give Nick so much shit about this. The thing that made it serious for everyone were the allegations. You see it right there in that paragraph is 4 juveniles. That's what made it serious. Because otherwise, it's just well, oh man. I watch enough Where Are They Nows and shit. You know, I give you a fucking hard time about it. You know, you got a throuple, whatever. You know, you got a little bit daddy, sure, dude. I hear you, buddy. You know, I hear you. I got you. Wink, wink on that one, right? But you know, the other part is not funny, not at all. So Nick Rekieta returned to the home of law enforcement, demands a copy of the search warrant. When given a copy, looked at it and threw it on the ground. During the search, they go through everything they find, and you'll notice, you know, there's certain items again. Their yellow snort tube. Again, I'm just going to skip the positive for cocaine. You can read. Black vial, white powder. They got the 2.2 grams. They have credit cards listed to her. So they're like, hey, with all this stuff, we found her credit cards right in the middle of all of that, you know, with a yellow snort tube, black vial containing cocaine. They were found directly on top of the credit cards. So as far as charging, I mean, that's what they're basing their stuff on. They're like, okay, they're in the bedroom. I feel like I'm playing Clue here, you know, in the master bedroom with a yellow snort tube and a credit card. Ugh. Why are they talking again? The guns. I'm just skipping that. You know about all the stuff that was found. We'll skip over that. So Imholtz's purse was located in the hall inside the master bedroom, leading to an attached bathroom. I don't remember her. I don't remember reading that part. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Remember that one there. So they talked about the 26.67 grams that they found, of course. They speak with Nick Rekieta. Now, when they're speaking with him, he makes the statement, again, that doesn't match up with Kayla's statement. He's like, oh, April, she's just here visiting. She's visiting us. You know, it's all good. So Nick Rekieta, you know, they're placed under arrest. They talk about the sores. Again, I'm just skipping. You know, we've seen a lot of this as repeat. It's just picking out the parts that she's listed in. They talk with both of them. Well, they talk with Nick. She doesn't. In here, he says that she was a friend who was visiting, does not live at the residence. Now, when they talk to Kayla informs the child protection workers that April actually is a living nanny. That's why I call her the nanny, because it's right there. You know, she's the nanny. She's a friend. She doesn't live there. Wait, but she's the living nanny. So, okay. So again, they tell you, complainant. So here's our signatures and approvals. I haven't looked up the prosecutor, actually. Maybe I should look up the prosecutor, too. I'll do that later. So complainant requests the defendant subject to bail release, arrested, other lawful steps to be taken, detained if already in custody, pending further proceedings. So that, again, it's just fascinating. This popped up today. Now, there have been other documents that have actually popped up, too. This isn't the only thing that's popped up in the last week. They actually had, now, these look horrible to read. Give me 1 second. There are two of them. Now, somebody put up there was a lot of to-do made about the safety plans as far as kids are concerned. And there's always going to be a case plan. I said safety plan, a case plan. They're the case plans that are made for kids. And there was, there was a lot of to-do about it. I'm rolling over. But really, when you look at these, again, there were selections taken from them. I'm going to pull one up. These are redacted, by the way. So I was making sure there was redaction on one of these, because he popped up online. And this is a standard form thing. They look horrible, by the way, because, you can see the way these are set up. You know, they have the best interest factors, and I was seeing who the fuck was texting me. Youth placement preferences. You know, they go through the entirety of what needs to happen. I know people were reading through. These came up with some other stuff too. So there's actually some other documents that are interesting with this. But, you know, they have like tasks here. And again, I know this is the quality of the damn thing. So it's if it looks like mud to you, that's what it looks like, you know. But I mean, you're going to have certain rules laid down. Well, like, hey, you're going to remain sober from all mood-altering drugs, including alcohol. Including alcohol. So that's part of the tasks that are laid down. So as far as changes, which I think these are telling about changes to streaming, because the changes to streaming, they weren't choices. I mean, I guess they are choices. You can do whatever you want. But if you're going to follow the case plans that are laid out, you actually have to stay sober. And that includes alcohol. That's noted in there. They note, you know, random drug tests that include, so they go through, you know, hair, urinalysis, whatever. Rekieta has to remain a law-abiding citizen, of course. I mean, these are, like I said, that's normal stuff. They shall sign all necessary releases, of course. Complete a chemical use assessment, Rule 25, comprehensive evaluation. Remaining in contact, of course. Return phone calls within 24 hours. If your numbers change, address change, of course, you're gonna inform them that's happening. Develop a support network. Maintain sobriety. Maintain mental health. Participate in network meetings. Follow any safety plans. You have your supervised visits. I mean, like I said, there was a lot made of this. And this is typical. That's actually her. But I mean, you have the same tasks laid out, you know. But for him, I mean, you've got to show. Yeah, passing drug tests, remaining in communications, law-abiding. You can see that the same things. Same exact things. There's 4 of the, you know. There were 4 of these, I think, that were popped up. A lot of the document itself, like there were a couple of pages, they were just taking I think the bullet points here had popped up online. But the documents themselves, again, when you look at that, of course, you're going to have a plan in place. You're going to have a plan for every fucking kid that's involved in it. You're going to make sure a person has to jump through specific hoops. They have to test. They have to showcase that, you know, this emergency stay, that the state doesn't need to hold on to your kids. You know, they continue, of course, they continue to assess parenting skills. They offer parenting help. They also, this is noted too, and I thought this was interesting, that they note both house locations. Now, of course, they should. But, you know, there were people that were talking about, oh, well, maybe something's going on in this other house. Well, as part of this agreement, you have to allow scheduled and unscheduled home visits to both homes. So it's not just one home. It's not just the home that was raided. It's also the other home, too. And again, a diagnostic assessment, comprehensive evaluation. But yeah, I mean, this is, again, it's laid out just like you would expect. I've seen enough of these stupid things. You also had, though, another document to make its way out. Give me a minute. It also reads like mud, but we will read it anyway. Actually, this one's better once you zoom in on it. Just give me 1 second to make sure there's fucking names all over it. 1 minute. Trying to make sure there's no kid names all over it. I'm not saying I can't miss a name. I mean, shit, I miss them every now and then, but... Okay. These ended up... what's happening with these? These aren't the type of items that you find when you go online and look up a case. Somebody's going in person. They're going and pulling these up. It looks like, I feel like they're photographing them, to be honest. They're photographing them off of a computer from the 1980s from the damn look up the freaking picture. Oh my good God. This looks better when I zoom in, but when you look at it like it's uploaded, I mean, it looks like I said, it looks like mud. Look at that. But here's in the matter of welfare, children of Kayla, Nick, parents, joint notice of motion and motion. So, and again, all of this is all over last week. So just add this into that. So 1, allow children to return home to their parents. As a less preferred alternative, allow the children to return home to live with their parents, with their grandparents also moving into the parents' residence. So, again, they're laying out their, if we got to proceed a certain way, we want the kids to come home, but if they can't come home, then let the grandparents move in. They can be here. If you don't trust us with the kids, let them be here. If the court will not allow 1 and 2, allow the children to have unsupervised visits, including overnight visits with their parents. Now, if the court won't allow 1, 2, and 3, allow the children to have supervised visits with their parents, including overnight visits, which visits would be supervised by the children's grandparents, and grant such other relief as the court deems appropriate. And number 2. Now, this gets interesting. Some of this actually gets very interesting because of what's being said here. Suppressing the results of any hair follicle tests taken by the parents on the basis that those tests are protected by attorney work product doctrine. Prohibiting any party from mentioning that the parents took any hair follicle tests on the basis that those tests are protected by attorney work product doctrine. Removing the guardian ad litem. In this matter, on the basis that she improperly accessed hair follicle tests, the results that were protected by attorney work product doctrine, and improperly shared those results of the tests with the agency and the children's attorney without having proper releases of information. So that's the reason 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, and 4 exist here, because according to this, the guardian ad litem goes in, accesses those hair follicle tests that have been done. Not only does that, which is noted as improper here, but then shares the tests with the agency and the children's attorneys. Now, with the hair follicle tests, with you locking those down, they're not clean. I don't feel like I'm going out on a limb to say those aren't clean. And again, that's not the point of what's being said here. But I feel like I'm not really reading between the lines. If you went in and they removed some hair and you were just 100% good to go on that, you'd be like, hell to the yeah. Throw that out there. Throw it out there everywhere, baby. So they came back dirty. Now, there could be arguments about, oh, man, need more tests, whatever. But those tests, anyway, you don't suppress things like that if they work for your case. No way. But that's fascinating about the guardian ad litem. and properly accessing items. So issue a protective order pursuant to Rule 807 prohibiting public access to case proceedings and records that would otherwise be public on the basis that the father is a public figure, social media influencer with over 400,000 followers. The petition in this matter, including the unredacted names and dates for the minor children, have been shared on social media platforms. That's actually true, including YouTube, where it has over 2,200 views. The redacted version has over 40,000 views. And that's actually true, too. That is. Right now, people can go and access this stuff. That's what's happening. Somebody's going up there. They're accessing it. So they're asking, hey, for the CPS case, or the DHS, I say CPS, the DHS case, it is, I hate that for the kids, man. Because, that stuff, that follows you. I'll follow you. And again, no matter how you look at this case, no matter what you think happened, whether you want to go with the, drugs used, or you want to go with government, either way, the kids are victims. So the regular case, the case involving the raid, what was found, all of that, that's one thing. But with the kid case, yeah, it is irregular to have this stuff where you can access it like that and it end up online. And again, when they're doing the documents, they're provided, again, there's no redaction on them whatsoever. The redaction that's done is done after the fact. So when we pulled up like documents here, either they've been redacted by someone else, redacted them ourselves, or we've missed something. I hate that. But I mean, that's true. Like, if nothing else, they could fucking, redact the kids' names. That would at least be something. Because the whole point in having them in a DHS, I see, is for protection of kids. You don't just want to protect them in the immediate. You do want to protect them in the long term. So also, ordering the agency to provide the following discovery. A, chain of custody records relating to the children's hair follicle tests. So again, they're going after the hair follicle test. Because that hair follicle test, it's interesting. I'm curious about retesting. Typically, I wonder if they shut them down on having something retested. We haven't seen anything on testing again. So I wonder if that idea was just shut down, period. Because right now they're going after chain of custody. So they're like, is there an error in that? We've seen that work, by the way. DHS is... Again, this is not making any excuse. I'm looking at this like a case. Just note that when I say this. DHS fucks up a lot of stuff sometimes. You have some well-meaning people, but it's a state agency. State agencies make a lot of mistakes. Those levels were crazy, too. They were. A cutoff of 500, levels 5,000. Those were some high levels, like the expectation of moderate use. So, I mean, unless you're breathing it in or something, or, putting your hand in it and eating it regularly, or somebody's giving it to you. There's also instrument printouts from mega laboratories, including, what is that? What the fuck is that? or grams. I think, man, I can barely read that. It's like I'm reading through mud, man. I'm looking over from I have a pop filter, and I'm looking partially through it. And like I said, it looks like mud, even worse. So, the positive and negative controls related to the children's hair follicle tests. The SOP manuals for Omega Laboratories, their curriculum for all Omega Laboratory scientists who test children's hair samples, error rates. I am curious about the error rates, by the way. Not the error rates in hair testing. There's actually there's public information that's out there where you can actually look up how this stuff works, but it doesn't get really down into the nitty gritty of it. And I'm curious about the error rates. You know, a lot of times too, error rates, you have the expected error rate. Like how many times can you get a false positive or that? But then you work in user error too, because when you go with user error, you can skyrocket that. So you get the error rates, blanks relating to the children's hair follicle test, controls relating to that. So again, they're asking for everything on it. Let's see. In the matter of, so they actually have a August 7th pretrial motion hearing. I'm just reading through this stuff. Just like I said, this boilerplate. Here's the boilerplate. Just listen. This is the boilerplate statements about kid. A lot of people, you never see kid documents pop up. So, you're expected to appear at the time above. Place fully prepared to review parent, legal, custodian, and or children's progress on the case plan. You saw the case plans, how they're set up. Service provided by the social services agencies, the best interest of the children or child. In this case, children. It is recommended that attorney and client, parents, and children should contact each other at least 3 days prior to the hearing to discuss the report. So the social worker, guardian ad litem. If you fail to appear, of course, the court may conduct the hearing without you. The court may find that factual evidence, statutory grounds set forth in the prosecution have been proved. Court may enter an order granting the relief requested in the petition, which includes the removal of children from the home, permanently severing the parent's rights, permanently transferring children's legal and physical custody to a relative, an order for other placement of the child or children. So, I mean, it has severe consequences. If you flake this shit out, I mean, you can have some very, very serious consequences. Now on here, they may introduce or rely on the hair follicle test results for both of them. From Minnesota Monitoring Incorporated. So the hair follicle test results. That's interesting. So they may introduce those. They may rely on those. Any and all documents, pleading, and or exhibits previously filed in the court, of course, involving one or more children who are subject to this matter, whether in the court file or any other related or relevant court file. Any and all court orders in this court file and other court matters involving one or more parties or one or more children who are subject to it. Any exhibits listed in the Minnesota Digital Exhibit System. So they can pretty much use whatever that's been in there. The level of cooperation will matter in this quite a bit. And again, these are two different beasts. That's what one can impact the other. But as far as cooperation, you can be cooperating, doing everything, and I hope to God that is the case. I would think that would be the case, but I hope to God that's the case. Because in this instance, my guess would be, just to be honest, unless they add on something to it, if you cooperated, everything's in order at the home, like the kids could actually be in the home again by the end of August, I would guess. Like, again, that's just a guess. But in a lot of cases, like I've seen a bunch of cases like that. And if everything is like it looks, you know, you can piss them off though, and they make your life live in hell like that. And really, when they're doing that, they make your kids' lives live in hell. But I mean, if everything's going how it's supposed to, you could potentially be looking at having them in the home by the end of August. Again, there could be a lot of factors that work into that. But if they're relying on old substance testing to say, hey, that's this, and also again on the hair follicle test with the kids, if they go in and they look at the home and they say the home is clean, arranged, everything's good to go. I know in that one filing, the DHS person, I can't remember their freaking name right now, they had said that there was some non-cooperation. So I'm not sure how that would work into that, about looking into the home, you know, about inspections. But if everything's, you know, if they're jumping through all the hoops now, like I said, they may give their kids back by the end of August. And I'm not, if everything is set, situated, I mean, again, they were kept on an emergency stay, and then it looked like they continued that over. So anyway, a few people asked me to look at those documents. When I looked at that, like I said, a lot of that is just boilerplate stuff. I'm going to hit a couple of super chats here, and I'm going to be done. Sandra, thanks for the gifted membership. Appreciate that. What's up, Papa Liz, by the way? Thanks for 25 months. Hey there. In fun times. It's been something. It's been interesting times for sure. Yeah, thanks for the 7 months. Hey, everyone. Indeed. Appreciate you all, by the way. Niece, thanks for the 10 there. Nick says he has a heat allergy and breaks out in sores, but he can stay in a hot tub with no issues. I don't know. Like, I'm not, just to be frank, I haven't tuned in to a lot of stuff. I didn't see the Bible verse reading. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. You can correct this if you want, if you hear it. But it sounded like the use of Bible verses to explain the thrumple. That's just the way I read. And again, maybe I just heard that totally wrong, you know. But if that's the case, well, man, that's interesting. That's probably not going to play so well. That's what it sounded like. Again, the whole thing, you know, the locals Bible verse. I didn't sit and watch the whole thing. I'm interested. I want, like I said, I want Nick to get his life cleaned up. Not just for himself. I want it for everybody that depends on him. 100%. I know there's been a lot of discussion about, like, you know, him going out, him being at that tattoo thing, you know, with April. I mean, he's going to live his life how he lives his life. It doesn't matter what the fuck I think about it. But ultimately, I don't think if you're in a three-way relationship, I don't think the Bible would be the best way to try to explain that away. I'm just, maybe that's me, but again, that's how it looked. Anyway. It's so crazy. Angel, thanks for the 10 gifted memberships too. I appreciate that. Thank you. What's up, Lord? Thanks for the 5. I did a girl with a twin. If you don't ask, you don't get. And I ask, well, No? Like, was her twin better looking? Much gentler? He was much gentler indeed. All right. I'm going to end here. I think this has been, it's a quick stream. I just wanted to go over the news stuff. I thought the April stuff was fascinating. I wanted to see what people thought about all of that. Again, the fact that she's being charged so late in the game. I mean, again, they can come in at any time they want and charge you too. They can add to charge. I mean, they can do pretty much anything they want. But it's just fascinating to pop in now. Oh man, one other thing. I was listening to Aaron, and I get the distinct impression that out of anonymous sources, I get this like my gut. He's one of the people that's one of the anonymous sources that went to the police. I really feel, I mean, he's definitely talked to the police before about other items. And I get the feeling that he's one of the anonymous sources. It's just some stuff that he was saying. And I was like, man. That's interesting. Because, you know, at first we were thinking, when you read over it, remember there are 4 anonymous sources, and you got some stuff that indicated specific sources, but you don't know them all. There was a familiarity with the detective, the way the wording sounded in the PC. It was just, he had this familiarity with them already. Again, because of their show, but that alone, the way that read, it was like, well, what is that trying to say there? And again, there were multiple anonymous sources. We knew potentially a couple of them, maybe even 3, but one of them, I think one of them was him. Result, thanks for the vine there. Annoyed when I see people say Nick must admit to everything he's accused of. Yeah, should totally give everything. The state needs to convict real smart. Yeah, when you're in a case with the state, you don't admit. You don't admit until you need to. You know, that's why you have a lawyer. Again, what we're talking about here is people are talking about redemption. Whatever word you want to use for an online thing and moving forward. We haven't seen... I know this. If you fight and you lose, the state's going to step on you. Maybe there's some grounds for... Who knows? I don't know. I have no idea, because we have not seen anything there at all. And again, there are 2 different cases here. With the DHS stuff, yes, you cooperate. Cooperation is not admission of anything that is in the other one. You cooperate, they set down a parenting plan, they tell you that you jump through hoop A, B, C, and D, and you do all of that shit. You do it, and you do it well. You do it like... You think of the thing that you tried the hardest on in your life, and you do it even better in this. That's what you got to do when you're involved with DHS, because DHS has the ability to take away your fucking kids forever. They are real. They may not be able... You may be able to fight and get your kids back, but they can make your life hell. And really, I mean, you can make your life hell too. So, yeah, in that case, cooperation is a must. And I'm not saying there isn't any, by the way. I'm not implying that in any way, shape, or form. It's just to answer the other. But the other part there, you look at that case, you see what they have. You make them produce everything. Then you make a decision. Before that, you don't admit to shit. Like you don't. Like when we're talking about a different thing with social media and what remains of a channel, or coming back, I mean, that's a different conversation totally. But as far as getting a deal, like if you're going in and you want a deal, a first time offense, I'm not saying to fight either. I'm not saying that at all either. Like I said, I think that if you fight, you better be damn sure that you can win, because you motivate prosecutors. If they go into the courtroom against you, they don't like to go into the courtroom. They like deals because they're easy wins. That's what they run on. They don't have to run that often, but when they do, they want to run on wins. And when they go in, they want to look like they're hard on crime. So they're definitely going to step on you if they have the chance. So you better be damn right. No argument of the state targets me without proof. You better fucking have proof of that. Or you better be able to eliminate, you better find a procedural error. Something along the way. You better find like a proof error, chain of custody error, something. If you can get certain things thrown out along the way, you're good to go. Yeah. I mean, admission, it's a different thing than what we're looking at here. When we're looking at, again, I want, on the other side of this, I just hope, again, everything's cleared up. It's a life together. You can do for do for your kids in a way that it's the best thing. The best environment for them. Because all of this stuff, it's not just the environment, man, the stressors that come with this. Your kids, this time shapes them. The time that they're away. And it shapes it shapes them as people, but it shapes their opinion of you going forward. Especially the older kids. The little kids, they, over time, I mean, you can undo a lot with little kids. But older kids, man, you don't get those years back. You don't get that time back. Like I said, I hope there's compliance. And again, maybe there is. Maybe everything's compliant. I know there's been argument. The guardian ad litem thing is quite interesting to see. Again, accessing documents they're allegedly not supposed to be able to do, not supposed to be able to touch and share them with people they're not supposed to. And they're like, hey, we need to remove this person. Angel, thanks for the 10 there. Horror movies, suggestions. That's a good transferal off of that. Like old school horror movies. I love The Thing. Like the 82 movie. I love that freaking movie. Anything but John Carpenter's good. Back in that day. Not newer stuff. I don't know, you hit me up on that. It depends on what you want. You want monsters, you want slashers. Weird movies like Basket Case. It just depends on what kind of movies you're into. Hit me up on that, though. I guess one of my favorite subjects, though. And also, Angel, thank you for the 550 memberships. Appreciate that. Thank you there. Result, thanks for the additional 5 there, too. Just so much bad or false advice when people become public pariah. I don't like that we don't have a path to redemption for people. Again, there are certain types of weirdos that you don't want a path of redemption for. Like there's a certain thing going on with a Mr. Beast co-host. I'm going to be in the strongest possible word. Fuck that weirdo. Let them fall by the wayside. Yeah, I mean, public pride, people take their lumps. It's crazy. And like I said, most of this stuff would be a fucking punchline. But there's some serious components to it. Those serious components get worked out. You will never, one of the downsides, I think, I understand why Nick asks for this stuff, because they don't want it in the, again, it doesn't behoove their children for people to see every piece of it play out. And there are people accessing it. But at the same time, enough of this has been accessed that people are very well aware of what goes on. And if you cut off access, people, the opinion of the random person, it's not a priority, but it will be a priority later. Like you having your opinion. Again, you're a potential subscriber to this. The way I look at channels, I think a lot of people look at them wrong. But the way I look at a channel is that you are my channel. I mean, sure, I can sit here and talk all day long to two people if I want to, but fuck that, man. Let's be honest. That's not a channel. That's like hanging out with a couple of friends, in which if you like doing that, that's great. But the people make up your channel. They make your success. And Nick's channel is under siege by that. It's a self-wrought hurricane. I saw local stuff the other day. For example, I got a locals notification, and there were 70 people there. For me, that'd be a good number. I'd be like, hell yeah, 70 people. But for him, I mean, that's a big hit, and that's a problem later on. You have to think about that path coming back to that too. But anyway. But yeah, like you're saying, every single decision they make is the worst decision ever. All bad faith. Indeed. And that's where you get into discussion versus, again, there are a lot of people too that have, it's not just concern that puts people there. It's also, there are people that hate the fuck out of you, and they will take that moment and they won't kick you when you're down. They'll stomp you in the mud and try to keep you there. Sometimes it's the people those little friends you keep too. Some very bad people out there give you bad fucking, not just bad about that. There are people that laugh you, they'll laugh you, your channel, not just your channel, but they'll laugh you, your family, everything else right into the ground. They'll be your friend right until they crash you into the ground, and they're not. Like, I cover this, this is what it is. Like, Nick can't talk about it. He's talked about it plenty of times. Hey, man, people can cover it. Like, he's friends with a bunch of people, like Camelot and everyone else that because it's so bad. I'm going to talk about what comes up. But I'm not saying, there shouldn't. I think he's made a lot of fucking mistakes. I can't say I would handle things well personally if, I don't know. I hope to never be in a situation like that. If I do, if you, I'll say it this way. If I have an ounce of cocaine in my house, feel free to mock me, okay? Because at this level, and again, that I have two girls, so I can't have that. At one time, if I did stupid shit, I were single, no kids, nothing. That'd be one thing. Be like, ha ha, you fucked up big time, didn't you, buddy? But it's bigger than that. Yeah, I see what you're saying though too. Robert Glock thinks, Robert, I said Robert. Robot Glock, Robert Glock. That's so dumb. Robot Glock, thanks for the 10 there. The path to redemption goes through Ethan Ralph. Rekieta just needs a few more appearances on Ralph's show, and Nick will be saved. Hallelujah, Ethan. Rekieta's Lord and Savior. Whew, man, that stream was not good. You know what was a better stream, actually? It looked better for him, to be honest, was he talked about the same things. I actually thought his answers on the Ralph, what the fuck? I guess that's the kill stream still. I was like, is that the Ralph we're doing? I don't know. Whatever the show is called nowadays. I thought the answers there Actually, some of them were necessary. I thought, whew, so, I've never I've never had a problem with Ether. I stayed out of that sector of the internet for me. So I avoid that sector. I did come out on that stream though, because I wanted to, I mean, there were questions that were being asked and answered about things like, hey, there's a CPS record here. It goes back to X date. When does that come up? But you know, the better interview actually was on Camelot's channel, because he answered a lot of the same stuff. You know, and there were certain things that, again, you have everybody has their opinions on shit. That is 100%. But there were really pressing questions like, what the fuck is that? That's CPS. I actually didn't realize that, you know, as far as the way the CPS system is concerned, every item that's ever logged potentially will end up in a court case. It doesn't matter if they clear it or not. And I mean, that makes sense. I actually talked to somebody about that because I was like, I've never used the DHS system. They're like, yeah, of course. You know, like I said, it makes sense. Like you pull up a record, you clear something, and then 2 weeks later, you're back there again, and you're like, wait a minute, there's more information about this. So, of course, all of that stays in. It stays in forever, which sucked, man. All the crazy, all the fake complaints that happen and stuff. That's nuts. But, yeah, that got answered. I thought the Camelot one, I thought it was a lot better. I haven't asked for an interview or anything. I would ask questions. Just to be fucking blunt about it, I would ask questions I don't know if you want to answer. I would want to ask, and not to be I'm not saying I would be a dick or hardballing thing. I'm just, you know, I'm curious. I read every document on something that I think is interesting, and this is interesting to me, so I would ask for clarification on stuff. And right now, before you've entered a plea or anything, you wouldn't be able to answer a lot of those questions. So I'd end up, getting stonewalled on a lot of questions that I'd really want answers to. And that would include how the kids go for it. I would also probably ask questions about the sobriety thing, you know. But again, that goes into the kids stuff too, because they have to maintain sobriety. Well, getting there, again, I would want to know: are you actually getting help? You know, did you go somewhere? Did you talk to somebody? You don't have to tell me like who or anything, but did you go to at least an outpatient place? Like did you get some help with some coping skills, find some replacements, you know. But anyway, I digress. What's up, Fallen Hero? Thanks for the gifted membership. Appreciate you, buddy. How you doing, my friend? And Fat Yoga. What's up, Fat Yoga? Thanks for the 6 months there. Love Tugs, but love Tug more. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, with that, I'm going to end here. I appreciate you all's conversation on this, too. Anytime documents come up on this, we will cover them. You know, I mean, that is. It may take me a few minutes to get to it. I'm curious about seeing some other people talk about, again, the April thing. But anyway, I'm going to call it here. Appreciate y'all.